Welcome to the official Lakes International Comic Art Festival podcast. My name's Ian.
And my name's Nikki, bringing you the best in comics and graphic novels and updates from the festival.
Hello and welcome to the Lakes International Comic Art Festival podcast, episode 100.
Woo!
My name's Ian.
And I'm Nikki. You need to put something in there like a party popper.
Okay, just one popper. One
popper.
popper.
One popper.
Okay, well, you can't say that now because that means if I do it...
Then it would have happened and then I'll be going, oh, it's like magic.
Yeah, but you didn't, so that's ruined it. You ruined it as usual.
Oh.
Same old, same old.
Usual. It's hot.
Same old, same old. So, episode 100. It's taking a bit of time
and
to get
our
here.
last episode ever as a team.
So, coming up,
yes.
we are interviewed
Yes.
by the lovely
Bully
Tony
boy.
Esmond. Tony Esmond of the Awesome Comics Podcast fame, of course.
He is lovely,
He is.
but I do want to give him a slap now, but you might enjoy that.
Probably, to be fair, knowing him. So,
He
yeah.
picks on me.
He doesn't pick on you.
Pick on me.
Why does he?
So mean.
So, we've got that coming up. So, that's sort of, we'll go through our opinions and thoughts and feelings of our 100-episode career.
Is it a career now?
It's a career.
Okay, a career.
After that, we're going to come back out and talk a little bit more about the podcast and a few thanks and all that malarkey.
Oh, yes.
But before we do that,
Go on.
we need to talk about the Comic Art Festival itself. It's like they planned this.
I know, to come out on our
To come out,
100th episode. I'm sure that's what went through their minds. Make sure Ian and Nikki get this.
Yeah, news. So, if you don't already know, the Lakes International Comic Art Festival is moving.
It is moving.
It's
to
moving
Luton.
miles away.
Yeah, all of how many miles? 10?
So it's moving literally down the road to Lake Windermere, or Bowness, or however you want to call it.
Well, it's Bowness or Windermere,
It is Bowness or Windermere.
People don't think that, do they? So Windermere's at the top, and then you go down into Bowness, which is by the lake, really.
Which is Lake Windermere.
Which is Lake Windermere, but yeah, just to confuse everyone.
So, as the Lakes put it, they put it putting the lake into the Lakes International Comic Art Festival. So we had a meeting with Julie, the festival director. Before you went on that meeting, what were your thoughts? Now, just be honest here, because it doesn't matter, because we can say our honesty.
Yeah.
Now.
I was a little bit reserved about it, because I always thought Windermere gets everything. Everyone knows Windermere. Poor Kendal, mint cake and snuff. You know, and no one knows it does the snuff.
And a mountain festival.
So I was a little bit like, oh, poor Kendal. So I was open-minded, but I was a little bit, oh.
Also, it's round the corner.
Yeah, we could just stagger there and stagger home, which was always a plus. But yeah, so I was, willing to see what was going to be presented to us, which was presented to us, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't as bothered as you. I think, just the closeness was nice.
Yeah.
And also understanding why.
I think,
why the change. So we had a meeting with Julie.
And a very nice piece of cake.
That really doesn't matter.
Oh, okay. It did to me.
It really doesn't make a difference.
I'm easily bought with cake.
We had it on the shores of the lake itself at the Jetty Museum, which is a fairly new building. I think it was last year it was open, I think. And this is where part of the festival is going to be taking place.
Yeah, I'd say good half.
No, probably not even that. No.
Do you don't think so?
It's sort of only going to be a display of maybe the shop there. Some down the line, it may have more.
Yeah, you've got the little screen as well.
Yeah,
I think it's going to be doing more than you think.
Okay, well, we'll see. We'll see who's right. We'll remember this in a year and have an argument.
Okay, put it in your diaries.
But that, first of all, just one of the things that Julie said is we get so many international guests coming over.
Yeah,
and Kendal's lovely, but it's not. It
hasn't got a lake.
It's not what people think when they think of Lake District.
That's very true. We've got a castle though.
Yeah, I mean it's lovely. Don't get me wrong, but people then want to go and have a visit.
Yeah.
Down the road, so that immediately makes sense.
Yeah.
She then started explaining the locations because it's going to be a bit like Kendal in the sense it's around the town.
Yeah, it goes into the town, doesn't it?
So it's still a festival.
Yeah,
vibe.
it's not. Yeah, because that's one thing I was worried about was it was just going to turn into a big Comic Con, which it isn't. No. So that really made me happy. So
they've got a good, from what we gather, a good place for doing talks.
Yep.
And so forth, which sounds really good.
Yep.
The place where they're planning to have the creators selling the clock tower,
but it's got a different name which we can't remember.
If it's where they want it, it will be overlooking the lake,
and it has a bar.
And it's a bar, so
they'll be happy.
That sounds perfect, and it does. Yeah. I mean, where it's held in Kendal is all right, but there is always one. The top room is always brilliant. The lower room is always a bit quieter.
Yeah.
This feels like it's going to be equal.
Because it's all in one room, isn't it?
No, it's 2 floors.
Is it 2 floors?
It's 2 rooms, but it sounds like they're equal rooms, if that makes sense. So neither one stands out. So that sounds good. And then they've got an entertainment venue, which sounds good as well. We won't say anything because it could give it away if you say something.
Yeah, don't say nothing.
But it all sounds positive.
It did, actually. Yeah. Oh, she won me over in the first 5 minutes, so it's all right.
Well, that's cake.
It was cake. And a good cup of tea.
And they've without mentioning anything, but they've mentioned possibilities for the opening event, which sound amazing.
Oh yes, yeah.
Something completely different.
Off, yeah.
So it's all amazingly positive.
I think it's always good to shake things up, isn't it?
It is,
because I mean things get stale for the people organising it as well. It gets not stale, as you know, but they can't. Well, it does, they have ideas, but they can't therefore expand on them. And this gives you a chance to expand on different things, and I think that's all to the good. Now,
there's a reason why shops move stuff around every 3 or 4 months.
That's to make you buy other stuff.
But it's to make it more interesting, to make it different when you walk in, that it's not the same all the time. And the best shops do it to a huge effect, you know.
Yeah.
And it makes it, viable, interesting, exciting. The other good thing about the lakes, although during the holiday season it's obviously expensive, people don't generally go in the quieter seasons as much.
It's it always looks busy, but it's not as busy.
But I mean, there is a lot of hotels.
Yeah.
That's more. There's so many vying for customer attention.
Yeah.
Which in Kendal there isn't, amazingly.
No, we've got the 2 now, haven't we?
There's 2 big branding, big ones, but then that's sort of it's quite less than you think.
Yes, probably, but it's small as well. But, yeah.
So there's a lot of positives, and to get there, if you're coming to Kendal, you don't know the area. The next train stop is the train stop for Windermere.
Yes.
And then it's about a 20-minute walk.
Yep.
Or quick taxi or a shuttle bus, which may be provided as well.
It's like walking down, it's walking back.
Yes.
That's all uphill. So
taxi.
Walk down, taxi back. I've had to run that to get a train before.
But if you bring in all your comics and stuff, you're fine. You carry them all down.
Yep.
Down, and then hopefully you've got none to bring back.
Yep. But they're also thinking of, can we say about
There's possibly shuttle bus.
The shuttle bus
hopefully
possibility going on. So that would solve all problems. And people who want to stay in Kendal because they've already booked their places and everything else.
There's a possibility that's going to happen.
Yeah, and if not, it is just one
train stop,
and it does go every half hour.
Yeah. So everything is groovy.
Groovy, man.
It's going to be a change, and change is good. It's why you change your pants every day.
No, that's because you smell.
Oh. What are we saying? The festival smells in Kendal.
No,
what are you saying?
No, I was talking about you changing your pants.
I mean, there's a few cows around, I know that. Sometimes you get a whiff, but you know.
When farmers dug their fields.
Why, aye.
What was that?
Aye. I don't know.
No.
I don't know.
No, you don't know nothing.
No. So yeah, it's great news. It's interesting news. It's exciting news. And I'm looking forward to seeing it develop.
Yes, absolutely.
And it's probably February, March when we start to hear things properly and guest announcements and so forth.
Yeah, that we can bring to your ears.
Yeah. But yeah, it's good. Right. We're not going to witter on too long because we wittered on for quite a while with Tony, Pete and Mike. But before we do...
I should have had a stiff drink before that one.
What do you think of Cowboy Bebop and the live action series?
Oh, don't do this to me. Why would you do this to me? Right. Well, we're only 2 episodes into the live action, aren't we? Mm-hmm. So I can only go based on those 2 episodes. Okay. As you well know, the anime holds a very, very special place in my heart. I love it. I love Spike. I love the storyline. I love how they end it. I love everything about it. Okay. Obviously I love the soundtrack. Who doesn't? And if you don't, you're wrong. But I'm having trouble. I was a bit not happy about them doing a live action to start with. Then I saw the trailer and that won me over. And then saw the opening scenes and that was like, oh, hello, cherry on top of my cake. More cake. And I was fine. And the first episode, I enjoyed it. I was a bit pedantic because they brought Faye in too early. But that's me being... Yeah, exactly. That's me being pedantic. I obviously understand why they did it. And it worked. It was all fine. The second episode, I didn't like very much. I mean, it hooked me at the end, which is good. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I found it a little bit boring. That's terrible, isn't it? Because I'm rewatching the anime again from the start for like the 20th time. And yeah, it's doing so well at trying to do it. It's doing well, but it's just not quite hitting it for me, and I don't know why.
Is it trying too hard to be the anime?
Maybe that's the problem.
When it can't do it because you can't physically, without a heck of a lot of money.
Oh, maybe. I don't know, because they've got the aesthetics right, they've got the characters right, everything is right. It's just not quite ringing true for me at the minute, and I hate it. And, what's it playing Spike? He's fine. A little bit too old, I will admit that one. I was thinking that. Because Spike is supposed to be only about 27, and he's a little bit old, and Spike is a lot more carefree than how he's being played. So that
is that because of bringing more of the past in? Maybe,
which I don't know if you should, because in the anime it was just drip fed in, and then you had an episode later on in one of the series. But I like the drip feeding. Well, I feel they're kind of like throwing at you a little bit at the minute. Yeah, I don't. I'm going to stick with it, and I might change my mind later. But at the minute, I want to love it more than I do. Is that bad?
My opinion, it's all right.
Yeah, that's it, isn't it? It's all right.
It's all right.
I know people who haven't seen the anime are loving it, and people who love the anime are not quite so loving it, and then there's people in the middle. So, I mean, it's not Marmite. It's not a love it, I hate it thing. It's just not, I don't know, it's not quite...
It's all right.
Yeah, I mean, they bring in the music, and I'm going, well, that's brilliant. They're using the original music, but it wasn't in this scene. And that but that's me being pedantic because I know the anime too well. So, yeah, apart from that, I'll keep going because I want to see, if Edward comes in and stuff. So, yeah, I'll keep at it. But I might be watching this on my own by the looks of your face.
No, I'll watch it. No, it's fine. It's all right. My other...
Oh, dear.
My other thing I briefly want to talk about, we're talking pop culture today, Ghostbusters Afterlife.
Oh, my God.
First of all, talking of the lakes and going to Windermere, if they decide to do something with the cinema and do some screenings there, the cat has just run into a door.
Pika! Oh, bless her, she made a squeak. She just pelted into the door.
How stupid are cats?
Oh, bless her.
Anyway, the local cinema has a Wurlitzer.
Yes, like
the local lakes, the Windermere one.
Bless us, Cottons. She's probably just gonna lay down somewhere. Yes, so we went to this cinema.
Dead Heart of
the Royalty.
Bowness.
Yep, right in the middle of Bowness. And it was amazing. And they opened the door for us.
Dressed in posh.
Oh, it was so beautiful. And we were given like proper tickets, which they ripped in half and gave you the blank bit.
As in, there's nothing to say what film you're watching or where you're going.
No. So went up the stairs.
Mumbled.
Went up the stairs. Yeah. All I heard was to the left. There was two turns to the left. But I mean, we got there. And went to this beautiful big room. Very Art Deco.
Very old fashioned.
Yeah, Art Deco, beautiful room. Sitting in the balcony. Screen in front. Wurlitzer to the side. Fantastic. About -4.
And they have an intermission.
They had an intermission right in the middle.
You can buy ice cream. If you've seen the film, it's in the middle of the car chase scene.
Yeah. Yeah, it just stopped.
Yeah.
Right in the middle
of the
of
beginning, not at the end. Dead middle.
I didn't wait for a natural place to put it. No, they just stopped it. It's all right. We rounded 2 minutes, so you saw the chase from the start again. But yeah, it just went blank. Intermission came up, and
ice cream
young guy came out with his full dinner dress and stood at the front where none of us.
Well, there was only about 7 or 8.
There was only about 7 of us.
Chances are, you're probably not.
And the fact it was -4 in there didn't make you want to eat ice cream. But fantastic experience. I'd go back again.
The movie, my God, I've been waiting for this film for so long. We'll call it the lady version, but the reboot, whatever you want to call it,
The reboot, I think, is probably more PC.
Well, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who was the actresses. The script was going to be rubbish. Whoever was up the lead doesn't make. It could be males, could be kids, could be aliens.
It was just a
I didn't
bad script.
care. It was just atrociously written. But this film felt like the originals.
Yes, it had heart. It
had everything about it. The script, they weren't forcing humour. They weren't.
It wasn't dumbed down.
No, it was as perfect as it could be, without them doing it a few years after the originals, if that makes sense.
Yes, I agree. It was brilliant. I took tissues because I knew he'd cry, and we both did.
But I thought I'd just cry over nostalgia. It was more than that.
Oh, don't say anything. No spoilers here.
No, it's at the end, though, and it just destroyed me. Yeah. Absolutely destroyed me.
It was lovely.
So take tissues. But it was such a... It was done so well. There's so many... I don't want to say stuff without ruining it, but there's so many movies out there who try and bring back old characters, and then they play the old card, this, that, and the other. This does none of that.
No.
It just does it with respect, with heart. Yeah.
Yeah, agreed. And it's in the vein of... It's a proper Saturday afternoon family film.
It is, yeah.
It's a proper film from like the Goonies era. You know, it's a proper film, doesn't dumb it down. Has scary bits and stuff for the kids. Brilliant.
More family than the original.
Yes, because I think people don't. Yeah, even though we watched it as kids and
we did. But this is more sort of following the Stranger Things vibes in some way.
Yeah, I guess so. A
bit of a Goonies style. Yeah, the actors were superb.
They were all well placed for their parts. It was cast really well, and the script was amazing. So
no, very good. So well worth seeing. Anyway, we're meant to be talking comics. Let's give you our chat, our interview with Tony Esmond, and we'll see you on the other side. If you ever want to listen to us again.
Yeah, no, probably not.
No.
Room for one lawgiver, please.
Judge Dredd. Or is it just Dredd? Fancy seeing you here.
Catwoman, you also here for the Comic Art Festival, or a stint in the ISO cubes?
Of course. I love to see my makers in action. Watch it, Greenie.
Careful, Hulk. In this town we have a saying. Once is a coincidence, twice is a booking offence.
I think he booked the events on the website.
Huh?
ComicArtFestival.com. It's got all the perfect information about the event.
Yeah, so's my fist. Drock, I'm out of here. Not standing around with those 4 tortoises that have just entered the building. Cowabunga, dude!
Find out all about the Lakes International Comic Art Festival and booking information at www.comicartfestival.com.
So, episode 100, we have ourselves some guests on the show. I say guests, they're kind of regular. There is the Yakopedia duo that take up all my space on the hard drive. Mike, the Dungeon Master Williams, and Pete I'll-Do Taylor. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And we have a guest with us today. He is 1/3 of the Awesome Comics podcast, who never irons anything, and all he requires is a tribute from yourself. Tony Esmond, thank you very much for coming on the show.
Well, a pleasure, mate. Thank you. It's good to be here.
Tony's come on for our episode 100 for our original idea, not stolen from any other podcast at all, of us being interviewed about the podcast for the past 100 episodes. And we thought Tony's a man to do this.
Oh, God. Did you? That was a mistake, because I take no prisoners, Nikki, don't I?
Yeah, I know. This is the problem. I've been stressed all day.
But we knew you'd be free. That's the main thing, So.
Yeah, I'll never do anything in the evenings. I hate my missus. Thanks for having me on. It's obviously, I'm an avid listener. Very much enjoy it. So it's very kind of you to have me on. Now, I have sent you guys some questions in advance. I think some of them, not all of the questions that will be coming your way, we thought we could prepare a bit. Because some things I think take a bit of thought, don't they? Otherwise, you'll all say the same thing and it'll be boring. Not Mike. Mike's my hero. Right, Mike, you're going first. So I know not necessarily Mike and Pete have guests on all the time, but you certainly did on and off, didn't you, during the World Cup? One of my favourites. Who have been your top 3 guests? Should we start with you, Mike?
Yeah, I mean,
just to listen to people, not necessarily people you've spoken to.
I was going to say, my top one has to be Ian Livingstone, all the way back, episode 3.
Wow.
And he's a hero. He's probably the least comics-connected guest that we've ever had on, because it was just for the launch of Freeway Fighter comic, but I don't care. He's a dude.
So when was that? When was the first episode?
3. That's 2017.
Wow. Okay.
I think I was so amazed that we're 3 episodes in and we got bloody Ian Livingstone on the podcast. I just couldn't believe it at the time. It was ridiculous.
That's great. That's good.
It was, that was such a coup. And then for listening to again, Joe Kelly, I thought was wonderful, and it kind of chimed at the same time that my partner Alison discovered I Kill Giants that I've been pushing her away for ages. And it was just a kind of it was a perfect interview. That I thought that went superbly. I thought she did great with him.
Mike, can I just butt in there, Mike? Don't pretend you live with a lady, because I know you live with Pete. I watched the sit of both of you. It looks like you're in the same room. I've told you this before. The way you sit on my video screen, you're definitely in the same room. I'm across each side of a table. And that's in my mind how I idealise you two.
To be fair, Tony, your room could be in the middle of both of theirs. So
it could be, couldn't it? Yeah, we're that nerdy, aren't we? Yeah. We're like a triptych of awful people. Yeah. Who was your third one, Mike?
And I'm going to be a big creep here, and it's going to be a joint one, really, and it is the comic genre World Cup. And it was kind of yourself and also Mark Abner.
Oh.
Because you both came on, and neither of you queried the ridiculous setup and really convoluted way that we were trying to run something that was kind of football related without ever watching or knowing anything about football. And you just went with it, and we ended up, I mean, it was an hour plus, and that was only what we recorded and sent Ian. I think in both circumstances, everyone just sat down and nerded out for a good hour afterwards as well, which I just thought was wonderful.
Yeah, that was fun, man. Yeah, I do like Mark as well because he wears flip-flops all the time, which I think is fun. I saw him at Thought Bubble, he had flip-flops on, honestly. Yeah. Anyway, good. Oh, nice one. Thank you for it. It's very kind of you. Let's go with Nikki next. Nikki, I don't want to be accused of bullying you, which is why I didn't make you go first on that one. This lesson.
All the time. I went with Emma Vicelli first.
Because you're a fan of her book.
Breaks.
The Breaks.
Yeah, amazing. And also, we've got the same brain. So it's all, Dragon Age gaming.
Do you share it, or is it?
We share it. It's a timeshare thing. Yeah.
It explains a lot, doesn't it?
But we just nerded out, and I have a slight girl crush on her, so it's great whenever I see her. I just get a little bit wobbly. Yeah.
I think we've had her
twice,
nice. Haven't we?
Have we?
I missed that. What did you say? Sorry.
Nothing. We've had her on the show twice.
Did she do the legs this year?
No.
She did the first. Well, she was a Patreon for her first few years, wasn't she? Yeah. But yeah, she wasn't there this year.
Okay.
No.
Great. Okay. So, what other guests have been your faves? Nikki?
Lucy Sullivan.
I love Lucy. She's great, isn't she?
She's amazing, isn't she? And I just love how she talks about her work. And also, we did a live draw with her, and she made Ian feel so special for the drawing he produced. So she's a really good teacher, and I think that really comes across. And I love listening to her. She's very, very positive. She's just, lovely person.
Yeah. When we had her on the ACP, we discovered that I think her parents owned a nightclub that I frequented in the 90s and made an absolute idiot of myself at. But she claims never to have seen me, which is very kind of her.
Yeah. Just means she's still got the CCTV tapes.
Yeah, I reckon. Yeah.
Just a fact.
You'll watch them again and again.
Parents owned a nightclub has made her 10 times cooler again.
I know, right?
Yeah.
Can't get
and
any
who's
cooler.
who's the third one, Nikki?
I've got Lyndon White.
Okay.
Again, we nerd out over Ghibli. So
yeah,
and his work is very reminiscent of Ghibli stuff. He also has house rabbits. I think no more needs to be said on that one. And quite recently, we drunk text each other the other night because I wasn't
involved.
I was trying to make old fashions, and he was giving me advice on how to do that. So he's just an all-round lovely guy, and we always bump into him, don't we?
Every convention we go to.
Yeah, every convention he's always there. So yeah,
nice.
Lovely, and his missus is lovely as well. I'll just put that in there. Because, of course, we were texting
Favourite
over
interviews.
old fashions. But no, both.
I love the way you approach that question totally logically.
I didn't, did I? I just went with people I liked. Because I would have had Corey. No, I'm not stopping.
Oh,
now.
Sorry, she hasn't finished. Sorry, Pete. Sorry.
I would have had Yoms and Corey on there as well because, again, I love
Corey.
I love him. Corey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Me and him were next door to each other at a convention, and I've never laughed so much.
You wrecked him, didn't you? He was so innocent before he met you.
I made him take a picture of me with the mayor of I can't remember the name of the town now. This lady mayor who didn't know, and I kept sort of whispering rude things to Corey while he was taking the picture. And now we're together, me and the mayor.
Of course, yeah. It was going to happen.
Yeah, I think so. It's a lovely moment. Yeah. Over to Pete. Pete, who have been your 3 favourites?
First one, obviously Lawrence Campbell.
Cool.
Episode
Great artist,
5. I thought it was amazing. I mean, such a massive fan of his work. The end.
You're a big BPRD guy, aren't you?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah, totally. So, I mean, it was a tough thing to finish, but man alive, they got the right guy to do it. It turns into the biggest disaster movie ever at the end. It is just absolutely epic, but still manages to tie stuff together and call back. And of course, it was Old Haunts that we were talking about primarily, which is, an amazing sort of Michael Mann crime book. Okay. And he was just really giving about his process and just really friendly. So he's definitely at the top, number 1.
He puts quite a lot of his black and white artwork on Twitter, doesn't he? You can see it quite a lot. It's amazing. Yeah.
Yeah, he's got a new book coming out in February, I think. It's been announced. It's a Mignolaverse book, but it's being written by Rob Williams.
Oh, nice. And I like his writing.
Yeah. So it's another, and they keep introducing, new writers and new artists into the sort of Hellboy mythos. So that, and they're best mates. So that's going to be an incredible pairing. I can't wait.
Good.
Can't wait for that.
Okay, number 2.
Number 2, I had Ian Rankin.
Oh, okay, nice. Yeah.
Yeah, despite the pair interviewing him, he came up with some absolute gem.
I can tell. I think he's going to pop up in a further question down the line, but we'll get to that.
Well, I'm guessing. I'm going to guess later. Yeah.
He was primarily talking about the Trace of the Great War anthology, but listening to him talk about how his love of comics started, about, he was talking about, I think, the paper shop that he used to get his books from. You could tell that he was a proper old school, long time reader. And I was impressed that he still obviously reads and keeps up with comics today, because he was mentioning some of the modern writers and teams that he liked. So it's great that he's still involved. So I
really
enjoyed that.
The Hellblazer and Vertigo Crime series, didn't he? Which I really liked. It's a shame that he didn't do more, actually. I really liked that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And number 3, Pete.
3, The Mighty Prolix.
Lovely. I was just chatting to him the other day on Twitter, on WhatsApp. Yeah.
I mean, I love chatting to all of the Scroll-Lords, obviously, and since we formed, we haven't really been able to, meet up properly, the whole team, since 2019 Lakes Festival. But I've spoken to all of them on the podcast, but whenever you're talking to Nick, you just get the feeling you're scratching the surface. Yeah. You know what I mean? There's a whole, you could talk to him about anything. I mean, obviously he's incredible in his range of knowledge. But we were talking about Dan Cloud specifically, and Ice Haven. I think he'd just done the awesome comic
anthology. Yeah.
Episode 45.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was quite early on. But yeah, it just always feel as you could talk.
He's great to work with, man. He's one of those ones, because I think he draws quite late at night, so I'll always make sure I leave my phone so I can check the stuff he was sending me. Incredible. And also a guy with a real depth, because he used to be like into spoken word poetry, did performances and stuff, didn't he? Yeah.
Yeah,
really
he's got a couple of published poetry books, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, there's just massive depth of knowledge there, really. But when you're talking comics, it can be so specific as well.
Yeah, great stuff, man. Good. Okay, we're racing through these. Ian, what about you, mate?
Well, I'm going to cheat. First, I've got 3 honourable mentions, which I won't go into.
Okay, good.
Now, but obviously, Ian Livingstone. It was amazing to get him on the show. Pat Mills was again, another seriously, you're coming on our show. Absolutely brilliant. And Bobby Joseph, someone completely different, but he was so interested, intriguing by his work, wasn't he?
Yeah.
This was the I can't remember the name. It's about the London. Is it
the
police thing?
Yes.
Yeah. I saw they had the thing on at Orbital many years ago.
It's just,
about that. Yeah,
it's just so interesting to listen to. And the way he talks about his art and his work is so different to other creators. But they're the honourable mentions. So let's get to the 3 top ones. First one is a mainstay of the Lakes Festival, and that's Sean Phillips.
Ah, cool. Yeah.
The reason being, it was really early on. In fact, it was episode either 1 or 2.
Yeah.
And he welcomed us into his studio, which was the most amazing thing to be taken into this artist studio.
Yeah.
That's created so many amazing pieces of work, and just looking at his books and his drawing tablet and everything. It was so amazing at the time, I think. So, and just feeling welcomed by someone with so much skill and knowledge and so much oomph in the industry was amazing.
Yeah, I got my copy of Destroy All Monsters from his table at Thought Bubble, actually. It's brilliant. Loved it.
It's
really
such
good.
An amazing creator. He really is.
Pulp's probably my favourite of them all, I think, at the moment. I don't know.
Yeah.
I think do you agree, Pete? That's quite a good one, I think.
Yeah, I think it's the range that it's got in there as well. It's part crime story, it's part Western. It spans so many years, but it's got that connective tissue to everything else. I think
really good.
But they're all just outstanding. I mean,
they are.
Incredible.
Yeah, they are.
And he's ticklish.
Ticklish, yeah.
Oh, here we go.
Look, you can have all the comic stuff, and I'll just tell you, they're ticklish or they're not ticklish.
This is the Lakes podcast after midnight. This is.
I only tickled him once.
Sometimes that's all it takes. Who's next?
Who's next? Dan Abner.
Oh, cool.
Again, just being a complete Warhammer nerd is first all, and then the stuff he does with the comics, and especially the Warhammer comics, and the work he's done with them. And all
he's like the daddy of Warhammer stuff, isn't he? He's considered, he's the books that people flock to most.
Really
don't they?
It really is. And again, it's another one you sort of think, oh, go on, I'll send him an email and see if he'll come on. And they're just so nice, these guys. Generally, creators, you think, they're going to be stuck up. I was about to swear then. And they're not. They're just so friendly, they're so nice, they're so welcoming. And for him to come on the show, talk about his work, was just stunning. Such a geek out moment for me.
Oh, good stuff, man. He is super friendly. I think I've seen him at a couple of. There was a small convention that used to be in Maidstone, like in a shopping centre, and he was always there, super friendly. Yeah, and I think he's mates with John Freeman, isn't he? I think they're buddies.
Everyone's mates with John Freeman.
Well, that is true. That is true.
Oh no, see, John Freeman tickled me.
He did, but let's not go there.
Good, thanks, guys. Okay,
and the third and final one.
Oh, you got one. So one more. Sorry, I forgot you had 8.
Tell you, that's why I put me last to kick you out. It's fairly obvious. Jeff Lemire. Just getting Jeff on the show again. Another stunning creator. Adore his work. And it's just, he's never going to come on. Yeah. He's like, yeah, sure. So, yeah, Jeff, just being able to chat to Jeff was just amazing as well. So,
okay, so what would be an entry point book for Jeff's work? Who would you go with? Or what would you go with?
Well, you start.
It's what I started with.
Yeah.
Underwater Welder.
Yeah.
Something so different to other things that are out there, That for me would be it. It just shows his work as a writer and a creator and an artist. So.
Yeah, I think I go for his writer artist stuff the most. Stuff like Essex County and that sort of thing. I think. Yeah. Good stuff. Great, thank you guys. Next question, which is number 2. For the future, who would be your dream guest? Let's go with you first again, Mike.
This is a tough one. I could do about 50 honourable mentions.
Have a couple of honourable mentions. Yeah.
Glenn Fabry.
Okay. That's doable, though.
That was a close one. Pete Milligan, but it's Jamie Hewlett.
Okay.
And there is a good reason for that, I guess. way back, just as, I don't know, I was kind of just getting fed up of 2000 AD, and my comic world was 2000 AD and Marvel at that point, being a kid. And my sister dragged me into a comic shop, which is no longer there in Liverpool. And that's where I saw Deadline issue 3.
Nice.
With his Tank Girl on the front. And that was what got me big time back into comics again. I think I've probably gone on about this story before now on the podcast because I repeat myself. But yeah, it's got to be, because I just think he is like an he's always so punk. He's always at the height and the razor sort of edge of whatever he's doing. And he's carried on doing that, even though he's moved away from traditional comics completely. My coffee book table collection is mostly Jamie Hewlett stuff.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
Big volume things that just sit there just to go and peruse every now and then. So that would be meeting the hero for me.
Good stuff. Yeah. Should we meet our heroes, do we think? Should we?
There's always a risk.
There is a risk, isn't there?
It's
yeah.
Right. We've been safe so far.
It's the only way to find out if they're ticklish or not.
Exactly. You see?
Yeah. Yeah.
This is why everyone now only Skypes in.
It's just rude.
Okay, Nikki, how about you? Who would be your dream guest?
Well, you see, I thought long and hard over this. Shut up, you. Long and hard. And then I thought, wow, someone really geeky, someone I like Warhammer, someone's into Warhammer, comics, Superman, Henry Cavill. So, yeah.
Right, okay.
And that is just because he's such a geek, honestly. And
nothing to do with how he looks.
No.
Nothing at all.
No, nothing at all about how he looks. And of course, as soon as he met me, he'd be like, I'm ticklish, come over. But, just to go, because I suppose you could look at it that he's this famous actor. We could delve into the geeky side of it a bit more, you see, and show that part of him. That's
I mean, you could have gone Keanu Reeves because he's actually
I wouldn't
created
say no
a
to
comic,
him either.
But no.
I thought I'd go.
I'm a bit lost for words on that one. I'll be honest with you.
Why?
Yeah. Why? Okay, Pete, who would be your future dream guest? Moving on.
I think anybody that's listened to me and Mike banged on endlessly, as he said, we've repeated ourselves often. I think everyone would have a pretty good idea of who mine would be. It would boil down to two.
Yeah.
That I had to make the decision from. It would be Mike Mignola.
Yeah, that's one I would have guessed.
Or Howard Chaykin.
Nice. Both. I think Howard is doable. I think he does do the odd podcast. But if you say the wrong thing, he will literally pull your trousers down.
Yeah, that's why. That's why it would be him.
Yeah.
I have been lucky enough.
Yes, sorry.
To speak to him. I did manage to speak to him. He was doing some online.
You went to that? I think my mate Johnny Cannon went to that. Yeah.
And I was just in awe. He's the only creator. No, Jaime Hernandez and Howard Chaykin are the only creators that I have followed completely through my comic reading career. I loved his 70s stuff, which you can't bring up. Don't bring that up. He dismisses everything before 1980.
Sort of sword and sorcery and all that sort of thing. Yeah.
There's that Marvel Spotlight, some Dominic Fortune, all that kind of stuff. I love it, but it won't. That's no good. But he stood out back then, and I have consistently carried on reading everything that him and Jaime have done. I don't think there's anybody else. I wasn't reading Mike Mignola at the start of my career, or Risso or other people, but so he would definitely be the one.
I don't think American Flag gets enough credit for being as groundbreaking as it was. The art in there is outstanding. Just the use of panels alone, the way he does it.
If you look at Black Hawk, American Flag, and Times Squared, you wouldn't have to look at anything else, quite frankly. Those three series still are staggering. The fact that he did both, the fact that not only are they, you know, brilliantly written and drawn, but the design on them, you know, and Ken Bruzenak on the lettering, you know, they are absolutely, you know, there were careers built on those books, you know. And
if you do find him giving a talk online, he is an absolute education from start to finish, isn't he? You know,
superb, so funny as well.
Yeah,
you know, and the stories that he drops in, you know, stood next.
The time he met Gil Kane or something like that. It's all this sort of thing, isn't it? Yeah.
He stood next to Gil Kane. He said when they were in the Marvel offices looking at an Art Adams page, and Gil Kane is just looking at it in disbelief, and he's saying, "But how does he do it?" You know, because in terms of the level of detail, he was mainly talking about how, you know, comic art has progressed from, you know, the more simple layouts and even design of costumes to what people have to deal with now. But, you know, that and it's a real three-way, you know, because Chaikin was an assistant to Gil Kane. So you've got Gil Kane, Chaikin, and Art Adams, you know.
Right.
It's like seeing, you know, old and younger movie stars together in the same movie sometimes. To see that crossover, you can see the thread. But he was absolutely amazing, and I'm just waiting for the adoption papers to go through.
That Dynamite artist book is great. Have you got that? That's really good.
Yeah.
And also kids. I think all kids should go out and buy Black Kiss. It's amazing.
Yeah.
An all ages comic.
And Hey Kids Comics.
Yeah.
You know, it's superb in terms of, you know, the
working out who's who and stuff. Yeah.
Who's who, and just getting the industry gen and realizing, you know, how much people were aware of and what was going on, you know, back then. And it's all under the cloak of, you know, sort of anonymous pen names and such. But yeah, he would be absolutely.
Yeah, I'll make you right on that, man. Yeah.
You think that me and Mike have talked for a long time. I swear to God, I wouldn't let him go.
Which is utterly true. But yeah, he might go longer than that. Yeah. Yeah. Still one of my favourite bits of every episode is Ian going, oh, here we go again. Here they go. They're off again.
Oh, my favourite bit was when we did the Swords and Sorcery Mutter Downs, and we took so long that Ian had to split it into 3 sections.
Says a lot, doesn't it? Says a lot.
Yeah. Good.
Tell you.
What about you, Ian? Who would be your dream guest?
A couple of non-possibilities, but not comic related, is Johnny Vegas or Jonathan Ross. Just very quickly, I'd love to have some sort of comedian on here who just loves comics, but something completely different.
Yeah, Jonathan Ross obviously is big. If you're a friend of his on Facebook, sometimes he gives you like a late night tour of his art, doesn't he? But didn't Vegas turn up at the London Super Comic Con one year, I think, didn't he? Is that right? And then he made it into 2000 AD. That's what's
such a huge 2000 AD fan.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, he really is.
Sometimes it's good to talk to fans as opposed to the creators, isn't it? I suppose these two guys are used to talking as well. So,
exactly.
You know.
In fact, he even replied to my tweet, Johnny Vegas, and turned me down.
He did.
Because he was too busy. But he replied.
Nicely.
He replied.
That's nice.
That's all that matters.
That is nice. Good stuff.
But comic related, it's probably never going to happen, but Kevin Eastman.
Okay.
I love the Turtles from being a kid. Obviously, we all grew up, I grew up with a cartoon, but then I remember getting I'm not sure idea who made it, but they'd recreated the cartoon in comic form. And I just remember being a young teen reading that, and it just pulled me in. Absolutely adored it. Then read obviously the original black and white stuff, slightly more violent. But just absolutely love that whole creation of the way Turtles has rampaged through the world of pop culture.
And there's been a return to the appreciation of the early stuff recently as well, hasn't there? That people have gone back and really appreciated those almost underground looking first sort of 10 issues or so. I'm a big fan of those. I got that. It's not an artist edition. It's like a similar sort of thing. It's lovely. Absolutely lovely. No, good shout, man.
Whether that's ever possible, but we'll give it a go.
Yeah, give it a go. It's always one, isn't it? Yeah. So we're moving on to question 3. Memorable books. So I'm looking really. You spend a lot of time now talking to creators. I'm guessing get sent books. You're at the lakes, for example, walking around, seeing new books. Is there anything that has sort of surprised you, where you think I don't really like that sort of comic, and then it sort of hit you? Think, oh no, I do like this. Mike, what do you think? Anything jumped out at you, mate?
I have to have a bit of a think about this one, but it goes back to a guest of Ian and Nikki's, and I think I ended up with the book that was sent in for review somehow, and that's Tilly Walton's The End of Summer.
Mm-hmm. Lovely, yeah.
Reading the back of the book does not draw me in whatsoever. It just was not my style at all. And the fact that I knew the background to it, that she was still an art student, I think, when she got offered the publishing of it.
With Avery Hill, I think so. Yeah, she was very young.
So, again, very young writers. So there wasn't really a lot to sort of draw me in. And I think Ian dropped off a load of, like, the last 3 months batch of things that got sent in. So I was going through those. And it's just one of those. It's a brainworm of a graphic novel. It's really startling. And it's such a strange mix of very, very low fantasy. It's fantasy, but other than a giant cat and a winter that goes on for a long time, there's not a lot of fantasy in there. But it's the architecture angle as well. Just kind of threw me a little bit. But it's just one of those. It's kind of just a brainworm. And funnily enough, I picked it up off the shelf a couple of months ago, and it reads very differently after lockdown as well.
Okay.
Because it's all about forced isolation. And it's really quite a creepy story.
Okay. She really had a voice. She really came out with a voice, didn't she? Which I kind of admire about her. But when she was so young, and she came from, I'm going to say, I think it was an ice skating background, and this might lead into question 4, because I think we may have been the first people to interview her, and I made a stupid remark about Blades of Glory. The Blades of Glory, like, what an idiot. But yeah, you're right. Yeah, that's a good one, Mike. Absolutely. What about you, Nikki? What has really you gone, oh, this is quite good. I didn't think I'd like this.
Well, because I had this as a big blank for a long time, because I will pick up anything and read anything, because I'm a total bookworm. But the more I thought about it, Una's Becoming Unbecoming. You know, the Yorkshire Ripper one. Yeah, that one.
It's a hard read.
And it wasn't something I thought I'd enjoy. Well, enjoy is the wrong word. That I would like to delve into more, but it left an impression. It is a hard read, but it's a good read. It's one that needs to be told. It's a story that needs to be told. So yeah, I found that interesting, going from the news reports about the Yorkshire Ripper to how she was going through life and what was happening to her as a young woman. And yeah, I really think that was
an important one. Who did that?
Una.
She's a lovely lady.
She's absolutely lovely.
Is she like Cher or Topple? She just got one name.
Just one name.
Or Pink.
Yeah.
That's cool.
Absolutely. But yeah, have a look at that one then. Unbecoming.
I'll have a look. Pete, what about you, mate?
Wired Up Wrong.
Okay.
Yeah.
It's, there's no monsters in it. Or there might be. Well, there's Pokemon in it, I suppose. But, it's not the sort of stuff that I would generally pick up. But it's so engaging. It's really compelling. It's so funny. I've lent it, so I went looking for my copy. I haven't got a copy because I've lent it to so many people. My daughter's read it straight after me. And, it just hits all the right points. It makes you think about things, makes you consider, other people's viewpoints, but is just so well done and really funny.
It's weird that we are, well, I'm probably the oldest person in the room, but as a 63-year-old man, I can appreciate books like that. That's the thing that small press does for you, doesn't it? It does allow you that stuff where it's not the Hulk punching the thing anymore. But yeah, the other thing I always admire about you, Pete, is that you share your comics with your family, which I think is great. Yeah. I force my son by holding his eyeballs open to read comics. But your daughter is quite keen to read them, I'm guessing, yeah?
They both are.
Right.
My wife... when she wasn't my wife, she would read some. She reads Love and Rockets, less so now. She will. Okay, she's the last one I think that the whole family read was perhaps Motherless Oven. The Rob Davis books, which I discovered through Ian and Nikki kept banging on about this weird.
Yeah, they go on about it a lot, don't they? Yeah, they must have shares in it or something.
This sounds bonkers. And then everybody read that. But the secret of my success with the girls, we read Bone together. In terms of getting them to read comics, we read Bone as a bedtime story.
Yeah.
But then what I used to do was, there's always a big pile of comics next to my on my bedside cabinet, and what I used to do was carefully curate not the ones on top, but the ones like 2 or 3 down, because I didn't think that they would be looking if they came in and they'd look, they'd kind of dismiss the ones that are on top as being the ones that I was into, or if they went further down, it felt more like something they discovered.
Some kind of sort of mind games you're playing in your house.
Yeah. There's a bit of that. But once they got hooked, I was able to suggest things that were a bit more like it. So Daisy's a massive Headlocker fan. Absolutely adores.
That's slightly worrying, but yeah, good. In a way.
Absolutely adores Andrew McLean. He's top. Nancy's a big sort of Gerard Way and sort of Buffy fan, but loves Batman.
Umbrella Academy and stuff like that. Yeah,
totally. Doom Patrol. But to the extent that she's bought the Silver Age Doom Patrol, so she does like she likes the 60s, 70s Batman, the kind of weird, wacky DC stuff. And Daisy's, she's on an illustration course, and more she's looking at it more from a kind of art front.
Yeah, I get you. That's good stuff, man.
Yeah,
that's brilliant.
It is good fun. They bring stuff to me now as well, which I can lend theirs.
Yeah, wait till they get big wages coming in. You can just get them to buy your comics. This is a long plan you got here. I admire that.
Nancy works in the comic shop. She gets a discount.
Oh, that is good. That's brilliant. I dream of that. Okay, Ian, what about you, mate?
Can I just say, I love the way Pete used to bring his girls to conventions to sell with him, which is absolutely brilliant. Want to do the lakes and want to do Fort Bubble. I absolutely love that. I just wanted to quickly say that.
You've got to have someone look after the table, haven't you, while you go to the pub?
As usual, I've got an honourable brief mention. Book of Reds by John Wagner, Dan Corwell, just because it's a football comic, and I never thought I'd want to read a football comic, but Wagner pulled me in.
Man, totally. How good were they?
So good.
They were great, weren't they?
You just wouldn't expect to enjoy it all, but really good.
Yeah, really good.
But again, this is one I've banged on about so many times. Facts of Life by Paula Knight. Yeah. Again, one of the sort of earlier books I read, whether we're talking about autobiography, I can't even say it. Autobiographical about a problem or whatever, and it's one of the first ones that just really affected me.
You sat on the beach and cried.
I did.
Yeah.
Probably the first comic that made me cry. So, and it's only because we get sent review copies that I would even have been, thought of reading it. I thought, well, we'll give it a shot. Go on. Better had. But no, it was stunning piece of work, and well worth reading. Yeah. By everybody. Yeah.
Good stuff, man. Brilliant. It's lovely when a comic raises some form of emotion, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what we're out to do. Yeah, mine's mostly repulsive. But if you can get someone in the feels, as the kids call it. Don't hit anyone in the feels if you're listening. Right. So this one, I thought you'd like this one. What is the question or the comment that you've made that you think, oh my God? You know, occasionally we say something and it's so painful that I make a noise occasionally. If I'm walking down the high street and I remember saying this stupid thing, I'm like, oh God, why did I say that? Is there anything that you've said that you've listened back to and you thought that's a bit of a cringe? Mike, how about you, man?
Right, I'm glad you explained the whole feeling of the cringe that occurs the days after. But unfortunately, I don't have a specific example. What I do have is a specific era where this happened quite regularly. Now,
is it episode 1 to 100?
I'm going to try and whittle this down a little bit, but the comic genre World Cup. It was touted by myself and Pete as our reaction to the lockdown. Yeah. I think it was more akin to a mental breakdown most of the times we were recording. Now, both of us previously, we always did short segments where we'd carefully curate what we were going to say and use knowledge to sort of put together something informative, and then obviously you do the research to make sure what you were saying was factually correct. But in the Comic World Cup, what we were doing was simply presenting discussion topics at each other, which were completely unknown until it came out of the other person's mouth. And I remember almost fortnightly after recording, those 3 or 4 days afterwards, I would be going, "Oh, did I say that? No, that's wrong. oh my God, I was thinking of somebody completely different." And it was just constantly.
Because people will pick you up, won't they? If you get something wrong, people will tweet you or something, won't they?
Well, we didn't.
Well, I'm only human, my friend. Many. You know, it's like that. Yeah.
We didn't get that many of being pointed out that was wrong. It was more a case of what we voted for and what went through to the next round was wrong. We did have. We got really picked up about Westerns being trashed in the first round. Was that right, Pete?
Right.
That's right. Was it the first round? Yeah.
Very, very controversial. In a world of riots and, you know, that's what people need to be angry about.
We had our first angry letter. But yeah, so it's that whole era. Because everything was so off the cuff and it was just swapping from one genre to another so quickly. Your brain wasn't keeping up, and you were just basically relying on old man memory. Because it was things like, "Oh, that was 90s. Oh, God. And it was lots of stuttering as well. But it was also at that point we decided not to edit after the episode at all. I think the only thing we had to cut out was when we had a complete collapse, wasn't it? But other than that, no editing.
Or do anything football based ever again.
I like the bits where you kind of worked. You couldn't work out whether you're in the quarterfinals or what. You just, what is this? Yeah.
How do the groups? Does Group A go against Group B, or is?
I was thinking, just draw it down. Write it down. Just draw a chart. I was shouting at my car.
I was struggling to think of a friend I could call that he was even interested in football. I was really struggling.
You don't know those kind of people, Mike. Good stuff. Nice one. Good answer. Nikki, what about you? I can't imagine you said anything.
Absolutely not,
order.
But I've had to sit next to the one that does. So,
I don't know what you're on about.
Can I do the Ian ranking?
Should we do a double? Let's do you both at once, because I feel that you sit next to each other all the time. Probably kneeing each other as things happen.
Go on, I'll let you talk about your one. I've got two.
The Ian Rankin interview started so badly because if Ian ever comes out with the immortal words on Wikipedia, we know we're on like thin ice. So Ian comes out with, "You've done 29 books." Ian goes, "No, I haven't." So
it was only a couple. It was only like 33 he'd done. It wasn't many.
Instantly, he hated us. Then our internet went down and cut him off.
I've pulled that one before.
And we had to bring him back. And then you basically said it again at him. It was like you hadn't learnt for the first bit, and you said it again. So it took us quite a long time to warm him up, which we did eventually.
Did you tickle him?
Metaphorically.
He'd like that, wouldn't he?
It was also John Freeman.
Oh, John Freeman.
Before we knew who John Freeman was, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That we met him in a comic shop.
We did.
And didn't press record.
No. And then we had to do that lovely redo the whole interview again. And
his response was, "It's lucky it was me."
Yes.
He's very easygoing, John, isn't he?
Yeah.
Lucky it was me. My two were very early on.
Okay.
Charlie Adlard. Lovely guy.
What did you do to Charlie?
I told him that I can't be bothered watching The Walking Dead anymore.
But that's fine because he didn't.
He didn't look very happy.
No. I forgot.
So it wasn't his comics, admittedly, but still, he was. Yeah, he took a little bit of an offence to that, I feel. But probably the worst one, which taught me a lesson for the rest of my recording industry career, was it Emma Viacelli?
Yes.
Where I asked her, she was the first female that interviewed. Did you episode 1 or 2?
Yeah.
And I asked her, what's it like to be a woman in the comics industry?
What's wrong with that, though? Is that wrong?
Oh,
no, it's wrong.
Because
Why?
you're almost causing an issue yourself, aren't you? You're sort of saying there is a problem, a segregation,
right?
When really you just want to interview somebody and treat them as though they're part of it. Because she wasn't on to talk about problems of women in the.
Yeah, I think you've been a bit hard on yourself there, Ian.
She told me off.
She did tell him off.
Did she what you off?
She told me off.
Okay, cool.
She wasn't.
I just said that to get Pete to laugh.
She was the only reason I said that. But it taught me a lesson, you know. Yeah. She told me off in a nice way, like a teacher.
She did.
Looking disappointed with a stick in her
hand. Did you leave that in?
Yeah.
Ah, good man.
Yeah, I'm not going to take stuff out. I don't edit stuff unless it's coughing and spluttering, essentially. Yeah, so it's too much work. But yeah.
Okay, they're quite good examples, aren't they? And do they wake you up at night? Mike, I'm guessing you get woken up screaming, do you, at night and things? To that?
That's half of the course for doing the podcast, I think.
I thought you were going to say it's half of the course for you. I was worried what's happening there. Right, we're now going off script.
Pete.
Oh, sorry.
Have you got any awkward moments,
Pete? I didn't do you, Pete. Sorry, because we swapped about there, didn't we? What keeps you up at night, Pete? Not like that.
It didn't occur on our podcast. It actually occurred on yours.
Here we go.
And I was lucky enough, just before the pandemic, I think it was early 2020, I was on the Awesome Podcast. And my nearest and dearest, my own podcast crew, thought it would be brilliant if they gave me some words.
Yes.
Interview.
Yes. You legend.
And, Ian gave me French toast. Nikki
That's some kind of move that I'm not aware of, and I know them all.
Nikki said quantum.
Yeah.
And Mike said that I had to sneak in donkey punch.
So that's typical of each person. There's a little insight into their lives. Because I know Nikki is a big fan of Quantum Leap. Ian likes French toast for breakfast, and Mike is a sexual predator. Yeah. So we know.
There's a reason why his door's closed.
Now,
I don't mean that Mike's not a sexual predator as a joke.
Being the innocent I am, which
You're
I
a
will
good bloke,
prove at
Pete.
the end of the story.
You're trying to help.
Being the innocent I went ahead without any thought of what might be involved. And I declared that there was an old Catford Comics character called Donkey Punch.
You can't see this. And Mike has muted himself because he's having a seizure, I think.
Completely forgot about it.
Oh, yes.
But you did it well, Pete. You did it so well.
Yeah, it was well done. It was good. Yeah.
Well, to make it worse, later on, Tony, you messaged me to say, well done, thanks for coming on. And then you said, would it be all right if you came on the show to talk about your comic Seagulling? Of which my response was, yeah, of course, that'd be great. Proving that when it comes down to this kind of gutter language,
disgusting.
I have got absolutely no knowledge of it at all.
Yeah. I knew that wouldn't be down to you, Pete. I knew you were a pawn.
Yeah, a bottom.
Yeah, and Mike's a power top, and I don't even know what that means. Right, that was good. So I'm quickly filling now where I go to the little audio recording I have. We're now going off script.
Oh, no.
So this is where Nikki hides behind the microphone because I know she's looking worried. And none of this will involve any bullying of Nikki. So are you ready for the next round? Is called
Superhero, Shag, Marry, Kill.
There you go. And a little introduction there from Mr. Cliff Cumber. Could you make that out?
Yeah.
Yes.
Good. So I've got the names of 3 characters. I've picked them out for each of you. And you've got to say shag, marry, or kill out of the 3 characters. They're all superhero characters. Who'd like to go first? Let's take hands in the air. Nikki, thank you for volunteering.
Bullying again, isn't it?
Nikki,
Yes.
your shag, marry, and kill. Namor, the Submariner, the Winter Soldier, and Magneto. They're your 3 characters. So who would you shag, who would you marry, and who would you kill out of Namor? Probably smells a bit.
Yeah, exactly.
The Winter Soldier or Magneto?
Right.
Yeah. And I would like you to show your workings, please.
There is no workings. I'm going just off how they look. No, Shag the Winter Soldier. My God, yes. Thank you very much. He's got a good arm. I would marry Magneto. How useful would he be when you're doing the washing up?
He would be great with the washing up, wouldn't he?
Yeah, exactly. Could you fetch me a teaspoon? Done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and we'd have to murder.
Can you kill this nation of people? Done.
We'll murder the smelly fish man. So that's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you'd murder Namor, because let's face it, if it got sexy, probably wouldn't be
right,
great smell-wise, would it?
It's not.
You know?
And it's going to be moist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Sometimes good. Is that right, Mike?
Yeah, but...
Yeah.
And slimy.
Mike?
That's not good.
I'm ticking that one as done, right? Okay. We're going to move on to Mike now. So, Mike, your choice for shag, marry, and kill. You've got Harley Quinn, Vampirella, and Red Sonja. So, who would you shag, who would you marry, and who would you kill? Please show your workings. Over to you, Mike.
I'm going to have to work backwards on this. Marry.
Saucy.
Harley Quinn would be a nightmare. I think we've already seen that in action.
Yeah.
Red Sonja.
What would you do? What would you do with Harley Quinn? You'd kill her, would you?
I'm just trying to discount which ones I would marry.
Okay, right, good, nice,
So-
nice, like it.
This is me being logical here.
Yeah.
Red Sonja travels a bit too much. She's all over the place. So I'm going to have to marry.
She's never home. She's never home.
What's the point?
I made her some hoops on toast tonight. She didn't even turn up. She's off killing people with her axe.
And then it's going to have to be the shag for Harley Quinn, as long as that's all there is and you can get out quick alive. And that leaves Red Sonja for the kill, because at the end of the day, she's going to kill you if you don't kill her.
So, sorry, let's get this right. So you're going to have sex with Shag, Harley Quinn. Red Sonja you're going to kill. And Vampirella you're going to marry.
Yeah, I think that's the safe choice.
I think you're right, mate. I think that's where I would have gone with that. Yeah. Late at night when I think about it. Good. Over to you, Ian. Okay. You're up. So who would you shag? Who would you marry? Who would you kill? You've got Wanda, the Scarlet Witch, Jean Grey.
Really? She's so boring.
Or Big Barda from Mr. Miracle. So shag, marry, kill. Who would you shag? Wanda, Jean Grey, or Big Barda? Who would you marry and who would you kill?
I think Wanda would have to be marry.
Yeah.
I think so. All
right. Don't make him
angry. Okay.
But the other two, I think Jean Grey's shag. And I kick her.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, she's
for them nice.
She can be a pretty lady, you know, and she can.
But you don't want to keep her problems with this
you don't want to read in your mind because you'd be screwed when you whinge about, you know, having to do the dishes or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
She'd just
imagine
blow
when your
head
mind strays during the act.
That would never happen. Your head would blow.
But sometimes I have to think of like Dead Kittens or Mother Teresa just to keep going. You know what I mean? But she might not understand that.
So yeah, that'd be the order.
Good. So let's go through that order again. So you would marry Wanda.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you kill?
Big
Barda.
Big Barda, that's the one.
Big Barda, she's big, isn't she? And you would marry Jean Grey.
Mm-hmm.
That's nice.
It is.
Okay, Pete, down to you. Last one. So your choice is to shag, marry, and kill are Medusa.
Oh, Jesus.
Captain Marvel or She-Hulk. Saucy, he's thinking. Look, he's nodding there and he's thinking.
Bit of green.
All of them.
So, we're talking Carol Danvers, are we, Captain Marvel?
Yes, sorry. Yeah, not Marvel.
Not Marvel, that's good.
Open to it, though, if you want to, you know.
Well, S.H.I.E.L.D., you've got double bubble, because you've kind of got two in one there, haven't you? With, Jennifer Walters.
Good point. Yeah.
So that's 2 for 1. That's a bog off.
You know that gif of Robert De Niro doing that with his finger. That one. That's what I'm thinking now. Yeah, good point.
Yeah. So I'm thinking, that might be a good one for Marion, really, because a bit of variety.
Yeah. Good thinking.
And then Captain Marvel, like Mike says, she's going to be like Red Sonja. She's not going to be here. She's got a pager. She's dashing around saving the universe.
She's always doing stuff with her hair.
Yeah.
But,
I don't want to kill Medusa. So I'm going to have to kill Captain Marvel.
Yeah.
And Medusa, God, how long in the morning does she take doing her hair? I mean, that's the main...
When you think of what she could do with it.
Well, I mean, there is... Yeah, I can't... No, I've committed.
These were chosen for a reason, Peter.
Yeah,
these people.
I've committed to marrying She-Hulk, so I'm going to have to shag Medusa, and I'm going to have to kill Captain Marvel.
Good. Thank you, guys. I like the way you all threw yourself into that with some real considerations. That's what I was looking for.
I want to know, how long did you spend prepping these names?
Oh, a couple of days. There's a lot of crossings out, Mike. You said at one point you were going to get J. Jonah Jameson. I'll be honest with you. Okay, now we're going to move on to the next one, which is questions you may wish to take to plead the fifth for. So I have 4 questions. Now, you will all get to answer them if you want, or one of you can answer them, but one of them you can plead the fifth. You can say, we're not answering that question. Okay. Now, this is what the listeners want to hear. These are the insightful, digging questions. Oh, no. But you won't get to find all the questions out at one go.
Oh, I see.
Do you see what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I'll ask you the first question. It might be that you choose to take the fifth on that one, which means you have to answer the final 3.
Right.
Okay. So you need to be considered. You may wish to speak to each other in some kind of weird WhatsApp group you're in. Okay. Have you ever? Here's question 1. Have you? Look. Mike's already got his phone out. Look.
Twitter.
Straight to Twitter group. We're all fat.
I'm there.
Have you ever met someone face to face and thought, "Ooh, I really don't like that person"? After reading their comics, possibly quite enjoying them, but you've met them and you thought, "Nah, don't like them." Note, I haven't asked you to say who.
Oh, we could just say yes then.
Well, it's an obvious... Well, actually, let me just think first. Because that could be a further question.
Don't forget that some people will think it's them. Some people will think it's them,
That's
depending on your
better,
answer.
just say yeah. And then everyone will think it's them.
I've got to say
You're going to say this, but everyone, you don't know what the next question is.
Yeah.
You're going to answer that one, yeah?
Yeah.
If we don't have to give names, I'm happy to answer that.
Yeah.
And your answer to that is yes?
Yes.
What about
yes.
Pete and Mike? Have you ever met anyone and you thought, really? You can't say me, by the way, Mike. That's not an easy answer.
Hasn't everybody?
I mean, yeah. Okay. Good. So 3 left. You still have a life. Question 2. This comes from the recent podcast, Ian, actually, something you said. Is this decision to stop reviewing based on a reaction you've had from a creator or creators, or the pressure of reviewing books, or something else? I think I'd probably start with Ian on that one, because I know you said it last time, didn't you?
It's purely down to...
You can actually say, not just something else.
No, I'll explain it.
All right.
Yeah.
It's purely down
I think these are the sort of things where people will wonder, because people do send you books for review, don't they? Same with all the podcasts. So.
Let's put this out there. We've had some crock of shit sent through.
I'm sorry about that, by the way.
Honest about that.
Yeah.
And sometimes it is that pressure that you feel you need to promote something. People deserve promotion, and because of the podcast we do it for a festival. You can't always put your honest truth out there. And also the other point is you don't want it. These people are creating books, especially small press. They're doing it in their own time. They're not getting paid. Yeah. They're working their asses off. And you don't want to put down that work, even if it is, like I say, a pile of steaming turd. But you just don't want to, knock them, and they deserve that chance to push that book and not to be knocked down. Now, obviously, the other side to that is they're not going to learn if they think the book's good and it's not, and they're not going to grow, they're not going to change.
Yeah, that's the other side of the coin, isn't it?
I don't feel I'm that person. I don't feel I've got enough knowledge on how to create comics and how to write a comic to put someone else down. Yeah. So that is my extra long answer.
So it wasn't based on a single reaction you got, for example, or someone said,
negative. That's the thing. So there's no reason why.
You really are you? Yeah, you're really negative.
The one time I was negative about something, they were upset, and it was the smallest little thing.
Yeah.
But let's not go there.
Yeah. What about you guys, Pete and Mike? Anything that you've got to say on that, or anything you thought of? Because I think I'm taking it this is something you discussed as a group before saying it, is it? Or?
Well, not really, because it's Pete and Mike don't tend to do reviews. It's mainly us that do the reviews. So this is my choice. If they can do what they want in that.
Outside of the group stuff that me and Pete do together, I used to review stuff when I was, covering like a particular genre. So say all the stuff I liked, and then I kind of do a review for the stuff that was brand new. And I'm the opposite of what you stated, Tony, before. Actually, I do only keep to positive reviews. If it's not positive, I don't even discuss it. Because I think on Facebook you kind of gave a longer answer once yourself, Tony, about this, didn't you?
Yeah, it's something I think about a lot, and I think I actually think it's almost unhelpful. I'm not criticising you at all, Mike, but I think it's almost distracting from the fact when we talk about good and bad reviews. I don't think that's the case. I think constructively critical is fine.
Yeah.
And I think people who say, "Oh, it was a good review" or "it was a bad review," perhaps aren't applying themselves to it. I think there's an area of honesty. If you're talking about a book and you don't mention the fact that one of the pages is upside down, as an example, then you're being unfair to the purchaser, who is essentially our master, not the people sending it to us, in a way.
No, I get that from being not being critical, but if I mention why I love something, I don't mind mentioning the odd flaw.
Yeah, and I think that's fine, man. Yeah.
I always feel a little bit of pressure because we're representing the festival a little bit. But I haven't reviewed for a long time, so maybe I need to reassess that a little bit. I don't know.
Yeah, that's interesting.
But starting out with the podcast, I very much felt I was representing the festival, and to keep it in line of positive, happy, this is everything that's great with the world.
Yeah, really fair, man. Yeah, that's a fair thing to say. Pete, you come from, a background of being taught art. I'm guessing you had your art ripped up by the odd teacher, did you?
Well, back in the day, it was. I was still in the realm of comics weren't cool, and you couldn't introduce comics into the classroom. I remember putting forward. I drew comics all the time at home, and I remember bringing stuff into my art teacher that I was going to take to, I think, foundation, and he was like, "Oh, you can't take that. They don't want to see that."
Okay.
But funnily enough, when I went to foundation, and I took the same I took art that I was going to take to university to go to my graphics course. They said, "Oh yeah, definitely include that. That's your homework." And then when I got to the university, they said, "Yeah, we don't want to see this."
Okay,
so
right.
It was a real sort of seesaw. It really depended. But yeah, it's gone past that since. But yeah, totally. Back in the day, it was still a nasty sort of like, that's not real art.
Okay, but when you did show them some art, how was the criticism or review or critique or whatever you want to call it? Was that sometimes painful, or was that useful, or was it not useful? You see where I'm going with this. I'm thinking taking it into a review.
Oh, completely. Yeah. When you're showing it to, somebody who does it professionally for a living, then you've got to take whatever they say, as something you should be listening to carefully. I didn't go to a lot of cons, but I did when I took a pretty scrappy folder of strips to show David Lloyd to see if there was anything that would go into Aces Weekly. You can tell by the speed that they flick through what you're showing, the level of interest involved. And it was quite funny that, I'd put all of my favourite stuff at the beginning, and that was sped by very quickly.
Right, okay.
And but he did, he was very nice, but you could tell that there was only one thing in the portfolio that he thought had any worth.
Okay. Which is good, man. I can't imagine, you've come away with a win there, haven't you?
We ended up, I got a strip called Monster Kids into Aces Weekly.
Brilliant.
Through that.
Yeah.
And then that work, I went to one of the ICE things, and I met a Dark Horse editor, and that was the most nerve-wracking. And the same thing, he flicked through the pages of stuff that I liked so quickly, but the Monster Kid stuff he stopped at and really sort of poured over, and he was, complimentary. But it's something that if you're willing to hear the praise, then you've got to take the criticism. I think it's as simple as that. Which is generally why I don't tend to read reviews. Just
me neither, man. There's very few reviewers I trust. Put it that way. I think if you think your comic's perfect, I think there is an issue. Because let's face it, what is?
No. Yeah. It's not from that sense. It's more a sense of, like you say, there's an element of entitlement. I think in a review sometimes I don't know who's doing them, and I don't know what their experiences are. I don't know what their background is, and I don't know what worth there is in it. Whereas when you're talking face to face with somebody, or the track record of somebody, then that is definitely something that you should be taking into account.
It's a shame that you guys have stopped, because I enjoy a review that starts with "what a naughty boy he is," which I think is how mine got described by Nikki in the first line. Good.
We're still going to talk about books.
I've got to add quickly. As a punter, that's why I like you reviewing stuff.
Thank you very much.
Because there's the background to it. You're not tied to anything. You are completely independent when you're saying something. And following you on Facebook, you do throw in reasons as well as to why you review in such a way, and what you think's fair and what not fair. And there's a few other people out there as well, and that's as a punter who I would go to as a reviewer.
Let's be outside the party looking in. Let's not, as reviewers, be in the party. That's how I see it sometimes. But that's very good. Okay, moving on to question 4. Don't forget you still have a life.
Oh, yes.
Now, question 3. You had a mid-season break.
Mm-hmm.
What was it that really got your enthusiasm back to get bang into it again? Is there any particular comic, or you met anyone, or... I know you guys, you moved house and all sorts, didn't you, in the middle of it?
Yeah. So we've kind of not pumped up to full gear yet.
No.
But let's be open. Let's be honest about this. I'm being honest tonight.
God.
Well, I think we're all happy to answer that one, aren't we?
A few.
Don't forget you have a life.
No, I'll do it. About 2 months ago, I was ready to call quits.
Okay.
COVID had
which is a shame, man, because I love your podcast.
COVID had affected me that much. I just didn't feel the desire to interview people, to chat to people. I'd completely lost interest in everything to do with the podcast. Yeah. And it was these guys, these 3. We had a chat, and I said, look, this is my thoughts. What do you think? And it's these 3 and their drive and desire to do it that pulled me round. And it was a case of, right, just hold fire. Let's get the next festival out of the way. Get to this episode and then see where we're at. And numerous things, these guys, the festival, it's changing, people we've spoken to, the festival weekend, the whole lot has just pulled me out my arse.
Good. That's good, man. We all have those moments where we think, oh, Christ, have you seen these people on Twitter? We all have that, me especially, but we have those moments, don't we, sometimes, I had a little bit of a psychotic break at one point on the ACP in the early days of it, when every person we got on just wanted to promote their Kickstarter, and we had to have a chat and said, come on, this is not what we're here for, well, I think we've all been there, man. Yeah, definitely. What about you, Mike? You something to say to you?
Yeah, no, I was hoping Ian was just going to be completely blunt and frank, and he was. And it made us think as well, you say that, we all got together and pulled you around as well, but it was a time for reassessment for us as well. It was just a quicker choice, I think. I can say that for myself anyway. I wanted to think a little bit more about what we can get out of this enjoyment-wise a little bit more. And I think we've already said we're going to do a bit more, all of us together every now and then, just to stop the monotony and not feeling like we're in separate towers and stuff like that. And I'm kind of pumped up again.
Yeah,
good stuff, man. What about you, Pete?
I think with me, I had a sort of backwards lockdown. I was a bit sort of demob happy at the beginning that, all of the things that I didn't like doing, I didn't have to do. I didn't have to make excuses to go around to my in-laws and miss,
but unfortunately, I was still stuck with the wife. So,
family get-togethers and all that. It's like, didn't have to do that. So I was I was living the dream. But as things then sort of like started to get back to normal, it was a bit tough to get back to normal. But one of the things I did miss doing the podcast, it was difficult. There was a period sometimes where you find it difficult to get things fitted in, and then there's other times where you look forward to it. And I think it's just getting the routine back, which I'm finding really difficult. I was doing hour-long walks every day, and I haven't been out for a walk for months. And it's just, and I think the podcast helps that. It's one of the things I enjoy doing. I love chatting with the team and catching up. So, it's a help, for me, and it is something I look forward to.
I think definitely podcasts really came into their own during the heavy lockdown, didn't they? Because, there's no secret to it. People, when you're sitting in their ears and they're listening to you, you're almost like a friend to them sometimes, aren't you? They feel like they know you. I get the rough end of that because people just walk up to me and call me a W or something, because I act like that all the time. But there is that familiarity, isn't it? And it does help people. It certainly helps, helped with us. Yeah, that's a good point, man. Yeah. What about you, Nikki? Is there anything that... Sorry?
I had to live with him. So it was... I kept telling you not to quit. Mm-hmm. So I was just, keep kicking. You're not quitting.
Good. So, well, we're all glad you didn't. And you've hit 100, which is brilliant. And we have one left in the plead the fifth, and you still have a life.
Oh.
So the final question is about sex lives. No, it's not. How much pressure do you feel to be nice about the lakes?
Well, to be fair, we're under zero pressure.
Yeah.
So
it does feel like that to me.
Yeah, there is no... But when we started this podcast, we presented it to Julie Tate, the director of the festival. This is what we want to do. I've known Julie for a few years before that. And there was never any rules, was there?
No.
There was never anything that we had to follow, any guidelines. There's nothing at all. I think probably the only thing was cut down on swear or keep swearing to a minimum. Yeah, keep adult content to a minimum. That was basically it.
Yeah.
So there's never been any reason for us to... never been told to keep anything down.
No.
And to an extent, I think I gave a couple of negatives of the last festival in the last podcast.
That was why I wondered. That's why I wrote that question, because in the last one you were talking about the walk around and where stuff was laid out and stuff like that. And it wasn't super critical, but you did mention things that perhaps weren't as good, could have been better, stuff like that. Had it worked better previously?
Yeah, no. Never has anyone said, don't do this, don't do that.
Yeah.
And let's be honest, as with all podcasters, even though we're doing it for the lakes, none of us get paid. None of us get anything other than obviously free tickets to the festival and so forth, which you'd expect.
Yeah.
Pete just sits behind a table, so he's a bit different.
Making money
for that table.
Hey, if you'd have come this year, you've had a cocktail, Pete. So But no. So effectively, we are our own free company to do what the heck we do with. They have nothing to do with what we do with the podcast.
Yeah, we're not censored in that way.
No, the only sort of ways they get involved is when we need contact details for creators.
Yeah.
That is it.
Good. Which is a nice little doorway for you, isn't it? I suppose to get like Lemire and stuff like that. Yeah, to get them on. Yeah, definitely. Good. Pete, Mike, did you have anything you wanted to mention around that one? I know it's not particularly your wheelhouse, is it? But
with me being an exhibitor, I got a slightly different view of the festival. In the sense that I don't get the chance to walk around and to see the festival from the other side of the table, which is, quite frustrating a lot of the time, because there is a lot of stuff that the live draws especially that I'm not able to get to. I think there are some conventions, and I think I have mentioned in the past, that do allow people to pop behind the table and look after the table while you can sort of go off or just mind it.
Yeah, I think Nottingham does that. Yeah,
and I think I've mentioned a few things in sort of that area in the past, but it's just the same, I think, as any other con. If you had a negative experience, I think I'd talk about it, and because I do get the impression that like most cons now, people want to put on, and they want to know good and bad. So I don't feel that there's any problem there.
Good stuff, man. Good to know. I've only managed it once to get up there, but I had a ball, absolute ball. I did go to Kendal the second time, but that was just to get to Ian to buy me dinner and pretend I'd lost my credit card or whatever.
Took you to the poshest place as
well. Mike, any thoughts?
I guess going back to what Ian said, we don't get any pointers towards what kind of content or anything to create. And I think for the first couple of years, I was a bit worried. Is this what you want? Are we doing what you think should be done? And I think you did get occasionally that was validated, wasn't it, Ian? They kind of just said, yeah, carry on going. You're doing
the
great.
Is, if they don't say anything, then they're happy. It's as simple as
that. Exactly. And then since then, I think both me and Pete, actually, we've gone completely off-piste. We just do what we think is good, and that's it, and hope that it lands well. As for obligations, we don't have any obligations, but there are certain things we've started doing, I think, which I really like doing, like in preparation. I'm thinking of for the virtual and the one before that. We kind of looked at everything that we were and for the last one, what we were looking forward to. Yeah. And I really liked that. And I think me and Pete did an extra bit one year where we went into each one. This is the classic story of mine and Pete's vast knowledge of Belgian comics came about. That should have gone under most regrettable, actually, shouldn't it? I've got one I can specify now. And I enjoy doing that kind of stuff. And it's not asked for. It's because we're looking forward to the festival. We do the festival. We then talk about what we liked about the festival or what we didn't like. And I quite like that freedom. It's cool.
Good. Yeah. I mean, we feel the same from the ACP. We've got a sponsor and we do the worst adverts ever. We make them purposely just super unprofessional. And he just sends us messages laughing. Yeah, it's fine. I see where you're coming from. Well done. Look at that. You didn't plead the fifth at all.
We didn't mention any names for the first question.
That's fine. I didn't specify. I need to rewrite that one because I didn't write it properly. Good. So well done, guys. So just into some more sort of wrap-up questions than anything else. I probably, just before I came online, I saw a tweet from Nikki about this comic you're working on with Ian. Oh, so did you want to talk a little bit about that? Future projects?
Ian needs to talk about his comic that he's writing that I'm illustrating.
Well, you can talk about this first.
Oh, I'm doing mine. I'm just finishing off the trilogy. So from Anxiety Me to Moon and then Air, which is just the mindfulness one. So nice, brightly coloured, chill out finish of the series on that.
Nice.
So that's on its
way. What about the one that was near my house? The one you were doing about that?
So she's not got there yet.
Oh, still 16 pages done. That's it. I'm having trouble coming back to that. I think
I live near a zoo. For anyone knowing,
where I was born. So
good.
yeah.
So what's this one you're working on with Ian? What's this about?
This has been something I've been sort of trying to do for a couple of years, and I've written a draft, and It's gone, and I've restarted it again. And it's when I first wrote, it's essentially about my dad.
Okay.
Who passed away quite a few years ago now. And when I first wrote it, I was writing a very accurate portrayal of his life was the plan, but it just didn't work. So I've sort of taken numerous stories throughout a few years of his life, and I fit it into a small, sort of continuous story over a few months. Is it how it's going to work? And yeah, it's refreshing. It's one of my sort of repair from COVID techniques, isn't it? I wanted to be more creative. I've always wanted to do creative stuff, but artistically, ain't going to happen. And it just seems to be coming out quite nicely. And it's just making you think about panels and the layout. And
so you're writing it as a comic script? I'm taking it. Yeah, panel page breakdowns, that sort of thing. Yeah.
Obviously, it's not over detailed, probably because Nikki's doing it, so we can discuss it. Should we get to that when we get to that point? So.
I think that's a way to run a marriage. I'm considering this now, where I just write things for my wife to do and do a panel breakdown and just pass it over.
Right.
Saves on conversation.
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you be killed with the paper cuts?
Yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully that'll be...
I look forward to that, man.
Out next year. Depends on how much I can whip this one to drawing.
So harsh.
These artists lay about something.
I'm going to say it was hard doing it, and what goes through your mind is this any good? Isn't it? No, it does. Because you're like, is this really going to be any good? And I'm quite proud when because Mike's the only person who's read it, and he enjoyed it, unless he lied to me, and he's going to be honest now. He enjoyed it, and he wanted more.
If you're not worried when you're writing it, there's something wrong with you. Yeah. If you're not worried about the quality when you're writing it, there's something wrong with you. Yeah.
So, yeah, I'm enjoying what I'm doing.
I look forward to that. Yeah, good. Yeah, send us a copy. Definitely.
Yeah, £4.50.
Good. Mates rates, £4.50. What about you, Mike? What are you up to, man? You got much on the go?
Yeah, I mean, I've always been creative, funnily enough, not in the comic sense.
Okay.
So I have lots and lots of creative hobbies, mostly around all the role-playing games and everything. And both myself and Ian have been involved in setting up a new wargaming club.
Yes, I've seen the photographs.
I've been taking care of the role-playing game side of things to kick that off. And there's a great committee of people who have just kind of, this is definitely a post-lockdown thing. We want to mingle, we want to talk to people, we don't want to Skype anymore, we want to play games. It's a social thing. And it's going brilliantly, isn't it, Ian?
It's stunning. Amazing how many people have turned up.
It's been a runaway success. And that just shows how many people we didn't know shared hobbies and how many people felt the same as us coming out of lockdown, I think.
Good point. Yeah.
And then the other creatives on the podcast keep sending me their work to look through and proofread and all this kind of stuff.
So maybe an editorial role of some kind, Mike? Maybe if you're used to reading scripts and stuff, is that something you consider? An editorial role?
No, I quite like it. I enjoy doing that. It was Pete that started sending me stuff quite a while ago, and having some creative discussions around Silverbeard, which was really quite enjoyable. I'm hoping that was of use as well.
Totally.
But another thing I haven't got any further with, but I've always had in the back of my mind for the last year is to actually pen a Silverbeard story for Pete, which I have the story, I just haven't put it to paper yet.
Good stuff. Love the Silverbeard.
So as such, no, I haven't got a story because it's not on paper yet.
Well, it'd be easy because you live in the same house. Right. At this point, I thought we'd just give a little shout out to the fifth Beatle, Tom Stewart.
Yes.
So a little shout out to Tom, a buddy of all of ours, and he's got a comic coming soon, so that's good as well. What about you, Pete? What have you got on the heart? I've got a lovely Silverbeard as a drink with Hercules drawing you sent me, which is marvellous, brilliant stuff. Yeah, what are you working on, mate?
Do you know, I have a whale of a time doing the Kickstarter sketches because I'm usually working digitally. So the fact that you're forced to go back to pen and paper, I find really invigorating because, yeah.
Oh, nice. Yeah. Good.
Like showing the Horillas.
Lovely blacks.
It's a fantastic one, Pete. Thank you very much for that.
Yeah. Good ink.
I had a whale of a time. The funny thing is, it's like being scared when you've written something. I'm kind of scared when I sit down to do those sketches because I can't remember what pens I used last time. It's like, was I blue lining it? And I ended up light boxing a lot of it this time. But yeah, that was great fun. We've next on the schedule is Scroll 2.
Nice. Good. Looking forward to that.
Spring next year, we're kickstarting that. I'm working on a piece this time with Jordan Thomas. He's writing.
I'm podding with Jordan on Friday.
Oh, yeah, what a guy. He's already written the piece, which was a deliberate attempt to work faster, because when you've written it yourself, I'm always questioning, even though I've written it and I'm drawing it, I'm always questioning whether the writer got it right, and then the writer's questioning whether the artist has got it right. And, because I'm in control of everything, do I move this panel to the next page? Or it's a bit of a nightmare. So I'm looking forward to actually working from a script.
Who is, incidentally, friends with Glenn Fabry. So there might be a little avenue for you, Mike.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Totally.
I'm always one to take advantage of friends with
Easy. I was hitting Right, okay.
And then after Scroll 2, it's full steam ahead with Silverbeard 2, which has started, and I finished the artwork for the cover, and it is definitely one of my most favourite things I've drawn. So
good stuff, man.
I'm really excited
to that.
Yeah.
That's a teaser.
Yeah, I'll stick that.
That's a teaser right there.
I'll stick it in the group chat tonight. That'll be
awesome. Yeah, don't bother sending it to me. It's fine. I'll just come on here to ask you questions. Right, moving on. We're almost to the end, so stop yawning, Nikki. She'll yawn now. I'll put it in her mind, haven't I?
I won't.
She can't stop it now. Obviously, we've had a few conventions now. So we've had, Meanwhile was an early starter, wasn't it? We've had an MCM. We've had a London Film Comic Con. We've had the Lakes. We've now had Thought Bubble as well. Do you see, having spent your time at the Lakes, I know it is changing in its venue and stuff. Do you see any way that it's going to change for good? Or do you think it will be allowed maybe in a year just to run exactly how we all used to? Any thoughts coming around what's coming around conventions?
Well, if we look at the Lakes, it basically ran exactly the same as it would normally do.
Yeah.
Okay.
There was slight changes in the sense that there was possibly less presentations going on, and there was more space within those presentations, but nobody was forced to separate. Because it's a free entry to the sellers area, you couldn't force masks. So it was
interesting. Okay.
It's just no way of doing it. So it was a complete choice thing, but it felt safe. There was no concerns, no issues. So no, it's going to be. I don't think COVID's changed it at all, really.
Okay.
The only thing,
and we're hoping on the guests coming. Are any of the guests from this year who didn't make it over? Have they said I'll come over next year?
From
we had any of that?
There is a couple of them.
Yeah.
That's good. Yeah, I know Thought Bubble had the same, didn't they?
And the same from the previous year. They went to cover this year and they bounced over. So
yeah.
So yeah. So no, I don't think it's going to change things down the line once we've got rid of this next variant.
Yeah. That came up quite quickly, didn't it? That one. Yeah. Here we go again. Yeah.
That reminds me, Pete. We need to sort something out for the next lockdown.
Yeah. Who's in charge of what? Yeah. Yeah.
They couldn't have picked a more dystopian name for that variant, could they? I mean,
sounds like a transformer.
Brilliant.
Yeah. As a tabler, Pete, are you looking to do anything differently, do you think, going forward? Or are you just going to... Are you a bit like me, just stuck in your ways now?
It's going to be interesting as... waiting to see what happens next year with paper and logistics. It's I don't know if we're going to have to become. I'm in the back of my mind. I'm trying to think of how can we make digital more attractive, just as a backup to physical items becoming a little more expensive. Mm-hmm. Delivery overseas is already a headache in terms of, I was lucky in the 3-pack Kickstarter. I had a lot of people come back from the States, but from nowhere else, really. I didn't have that many in Europe, but they didn't come back just because, again, the day I think I launched, or the day before I launched, the EU VAT came in. So really I had to just do some quick numbers to cover myself. And
I mean, speaking of the paper shortage there, it's only, I think yesterday, is it Get My Comics? Is that GMC? They've announced that they can't get Pat Mills's book because of the paper shortage.
Yeah.
That's what they're saying.
I mean, I'm getting a lot of work at the moment in my day job from publishers who are desperate to get their books in the production pipeline as early as possible, so they can lock in their printer time and they can lock in the paper purchase. Everything at the moment is all about getting all of that stuff done. Yeah. So I'm working sort of day and night to get other people's stuff to the presses. I think it means that we're going to have to be a little cannier perhaps in the future. I was listening to Chip Zdarsky on a podcast. He was talking about a move to smaller page rates in terms page amounts. His next book, I think, is going to be 16 pages.
Oh wow! Okay.
He's doing a book with
that'd be a 5
Jacob Phillips. Yeah. So people are considering it. I think there is back matter in there, and I think there's a backup. But I don't know. It's going to be a year of flux. And then in terms of cons, the change needs to just come with me at the moment. I need to just have the confidence to get back out there as well. Really, I had a family matter for the Lakes, but was worried about going anyway. And then I rolled over my table for Thought Bubble, just because there were just too many people I knew that were double chabbed and, still getting it. And I just thought, I'm not going to bother. So it's a much a confidence issue with the cons, I think, for me. But
it may be that the paper shortage affects the cons, because if we've got a severe paper shortage and everything goes digital, and I'm something of a digital convert. I never thought of doing it 5 years ago, but I've got a busy Comixology account and Comic House and everything. Yeah. If you can't get a paper copy, what's the point in tabling?
Yeah. That's going to decide it, isn't it? It's down to what stock you've got. I re-upped on most of my books for the 3-pack. So I've got enough, I think, for a good couple of cons. But yeah, I think we're going to have to be a bit creative. Yeah. Ultimately.
We'll see how it goes. Yeah. What about you, Mike? Is there any changes you see coming around conventions, or perhaps your attitudes towards them, or?
No, I mean, similar to Pete, I had a little bit of concern over attending the Lakes, but you mentioned about not being able to force people to wear masks in the public areas. I thought there was a really high mask uptake. Actually.
Okay, good. That's good, isn't it?
The tablers, not so much, because I think I could understand they were struggling if you're trying to stand there and talk to people constantly. So I kind of understand that. But I think from the general public, it was still quite good. But then I have to say, as an area, the Lakes seem still quite good on the uptake of masks, regardless of what any official rules are or anything. Within shops and things like that, it's always been quite a strong presence. So that was kind of what I kind of did a few trips out beforehand. But the festival weekend was the big sort of me going out into the world, really. That was it was for a lot of people, wasn't it? That was finally we got to mix with people. It was all a bit strange, wasn't it? Yeah,
it was, yeah. Good. Nice one. And we're on to the last question now. You'll be pleased to know, because I think I've gone on for ages now, haven't I?
Something like you, Tony.
The instinct of his hard drive.
As you've hinted a bit at this, Ian, but as you enter triple figures now, big shout out to my friend Crystal. What's next for you guys? What have you got planned next?
So we are, for the most part, splitting up in some ways. So we're going to have
sounds drastic.
It does.
Don't say that.
It does, doesn't it? But so that, say, like Pete says, he struggled to sometimes get it booked in, and same with us, busy life and all that. So we're going to do interview episodes as we do, and then Pete and Mike are going to do their episode, Yakopedia, and it's not going to be as informal in the sense of it's going to be out on the first, or whatever.
They're doing it in the form of a cricket match, which I understand they're very into. In innings.
So we're gonna just change things up a bit.
Yeah.
We're gonna become the Comic Art Podcast Network is what I'm looking at, rather than just a podcast, you see.
Like that.
2 different types of episodes, and then we'll join forces every now and again. So it's gonna be more of the same, just done slightly differently.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you hint at any guests you've got coming up, Nikki? Have you got anyone sort of lined up or you've got your eye on?
Oh, we've got Martin Rosen.
Nice.
He's lined up. He's so lovely. He made the festival for me. As soon as he became Bob Ross.
You loved him, didn't you?
Yeah, that was.
I got to have breakfast with him once, and it was very funny.
Yes.
Yeah. We had a right laugh. He had some of Gerald Scarf's pens with him. I remember him letting me hold. Yeah. Just had something in his pocket. What's going on there?
Completely bonkers. Love him.
So as it stands, that's our only planned guest at the minute. But we are going to sort of focus on. I think some more international guests is a plan, isn't it? To work with the Lakes a little bit more.
Yeah, because they're
look
going
at their
slightly
guest
more
list.
international, aren't they?
And try and bring some of those in.
So the sort of NCS kind of guys, you mean?
No, more different countries, like China's the focus.
Okay.
More European.
Yeah.
So people that people aren't going to heard of, because we've hit so many names that we wouldn't expect to have talked to in the first place. But some different creators, I think, is our plan for this year.
I mean, my eyes have been utterly open to Bond Dessiné in the last few years, with the translations that are coming through. Just, they're so much better than us. Black Sad, oh my God. Incredible. Yeah. What about Mike and Pete? Have you got anything planned for your Mutter Downs?
Ask us 2 days before we're supposed to record.
Mike, you are a legend. I'd like to say that already. Yeah.
I think we have talked about getting even more people involved, so that perhaps we've got somebody who's more of a focus of the ramble than just me and Mike. Are talking. So I think that would be. But when we did have a meetup, we talked about how conversations really at the heart of a lot of podcasts, in terms of the ones that you do tend to follow. It's listening to engaged people that are thoroughly invested in the thing that you are, and I think that's really going to be the heart of what me and Mike, I think, and when the podcast is pursuing, it's just chatting to people, or yakking to people invested in comics, really. I think, and it's how it started, really, I think, and it's just really how we should carry on.
I mean, I'd say that's one of the reasons I enjoy listening to your show, is because you talk about books with enthusiasm, and the amount of books I've then gone and purchased because I listened to you nutters talk about it. Do you know what I mean? And that's what I want, and when you think about it, we're all on podcasts that are audio mediums for visual products, but we all seem to get sort of terribly inspired by listening to each other describe a drawing. Yeah, it's incredible, isn't it? But I have to say, I've listened to every one of your episodes and I enjoy them. Some of them more than once, but only when you mention me. And I've always enjoyed them. They've kept me company on many a long car journey. So just thanks, guys, and congratulations again on the 100 episodes. It's been brilliant. Yeah.
Thank you so much, Tony.
Thank you, Tony.
Obviously, before we go, give us a shout out, Tony, of where we can find your stuff if they're not aware.
We're mostly on Patreon, patreon.com/tribute press. We've just started Hank Fur, which is a cyberpunk furry story.
Pete, do you know what a furry is?
Pete is in fact a badger. Pete is a badger.
And before we go, then I'm just going to say a couple of thanks just because the guys are on here. obviously, first of all, Tony, thank you for coming on.
My pleasure.
Thank you for the
guys,
support. You know, from when we first started chatting, whatever episode it was when we eventually met the awesome guys, and onwards, you've just been such a support.
Our pleasure, man.
To us, it really has, and it does mean a lot. So thank you for that, and thank you to the awesome team as well. Brilliant podcast. Go listen. Yeah, they're regular.
and let me say, slightly bluer. And we do like French toast.
French toast is amazing. Big thank you again to Pete and Mike. Your support of us doing this crazy idea of ours. You know, you've come along with no expectations. You know, you've never asked for anything, and you're just constantly, I was going to say, splurging out comic information to the world. But it means the world supporting us. And thank you so much for the time and the effort that you put in to the podcast.
It's been a blast, dude. Cheers.
Thanks for asking me. I'm sure you're sorry you have, but thanks for asking me.
Right. Well, thank you very much. And I hope you enjoyed that, listening to our confessions and the facts about us. And again, thank you, Tony. And let's rock on to episode 101. How's the cat?
The cat is fine. I've just had to go and check on her.
Herself.
No, she hasn't done that. But she did hide under the bed. I think she was feeling a little bit shook up. I have checked her over. She's fine.
You say that, but the reason why she was running around is obviously because she'd been to the toilet, and for some reason she does that. So while we were talking about how smelly Kendal was, it literally was like a manure pit in this room.
And then she just went mental, which, like you say, she does after she has a poop. And she pelted it under us and straight into the glass door.
Yes.
Yeah, which has always been there.
Dumb cat.
Yeah. She'll be fine.
She's fine.
She'll be fine. Just needs to have a little rest.
Right, so we bared our souls to Tony there.
We did.
We got through all his questions without having to use a...
Yeah, no passes for us.
No, we're well good. Or he's been too soft.
Probably that one.
So I've got one question for you.
When was this happening?
One that Tony sort of didn't ask.
Okay.
What is the best thing or things that you've had through doing this podcast, or have happened, or or because of the podcast?
Woo! Sorry. The microphone just went funny. It was so excited it fainted.
Okay.
I think first of all, it's let me meet people who in the creative place and make new friends. I'm have friends.
Well, that is probably the biggest thing.
That's the biggest thing for me.
You walk around a con now and you can say hello to so many.
Yeah, you know so many people, and it's like a little family, a fam. But also, it then gave me like a safe space to step my foot into it myself and create a comic, which I didn't think I would ever do because I never knew how to start or get into it. So it kind of opened up a lot of things for me that way. But mainly friends.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think. And finding all these lovely comics that I may have not found before.
But you wouldn't have. It's not.
No, that's it.
It's the literal case of you wouldn't have.
Yeah, so for me, it's enriched my entire life. Sorry, the microphone fell off.
We need some new shields.
Yeah.
One of the things I was going to say, which is seeing you grow.
Oh,
as a creator.
So touching. I owe you everything, Ian.
I know. I don't get a % of the earnings. I mean, if I did, it wouldn't be much, but that's not the point. But I mean, let's just look at Anxiety Me, which you created through seeing other people. You know, having that confidence from speaking to other people.
Yeah.
The Lakes helped us.
It did indeed.
Develop it, funded it. The initial print run. But then seeing it go out there and becoming like in the top 100 list, it was in the top 10 of a Comixology list, was it? I think it was as well.
Yes, I think I was.
And just seeing it pop out there.
Yeah.
It was in a top 10 giveaway list recently.
It was indeed. Was it? Oh, it was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I remember now. Yeah.
So just seeing it pop up and people, trying it out.
Yeah, because it is. Yeah, because it is a bit different.
Mm-hmm.
But I was really proud of that. In fact, it's probably the one I'm most proud of.
Yeah.
Your first one, because it's your first baby, isn't it? It's a baby.
So yeah, that's been interesting.
But what for you, dear?
Well, kind
that
of.
was me,
You've kind of answered both of them.
Well,
You ruined it for me. Obviously, being able to speak to people you would never have dreamed of having
that's true.
access to one-to-one. You know, you could probably speak to them in the cons and so forth, but yeah, just that ability to have everyone, bar one guest who didn't come on the show, has given their time completely freely.
Yes.
No payment, no nothing, no questions of that. They've been happy, and these are people who are selling. They've got blooming movie rights.
Yeah.
Being on name, TV shows, you know, as
They're
well
at
as
the
the
top of the
people,
game.
as well as the small creators who are working 40, 50 hours a week and still creating comics. All of them are just giving their time completely freely.
Yeah.
The one who didn't, you can off.
The one who asked for money?
The one who asked for money. We shall not name that person.
No,
they
we
will
won't do
never be on the
that.
show, even if they game free.
No. Yes, they asked us to pay them to come on the show.
To come on to promote their work.
Yeah, on a voluntary podcast. Yeah, about that. No.
Yeah. I'd say many things. One day I'll name you as well, because it doesn't mean anything to me. But no, it's been wonderful having just meeting these people and say, because of that, we can go speak to them at cons.
Yeah.
We can see these people at cons and just interviewing while we're walking around.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
And
they'll like, you know, trust us as well, and you know, those friendships have built up over years now.
Yeah.
In some cases.
Yeah.
You know, I know who I'd want to go down the pub with.
Who? Don't say Keanu Reeves or
Henry Cavill.
Henry Cavill again.
I thought that was a fine answer.
So, and obviously, seeing the show develop, seeing Mike and Pete develop alongside.
They live together now.
Well, their friendship really has sort of
it's so
gone
nice.
from obviously zero and to what it is today. It's
living together.
To living together. That is so good to see.
Like Eric and Ernie.
But it's given us opportunities that we wouldn't have had. So yeah, absolutely superb. So we got some thanks to say.
Go on then.
You should always do this, shouldn't you? You should always do this. Obviously, first of all, thank you to say all our guests for giving their time, as I said, just to come in on the show, speaking to us absolute nobodies. Yeah, we are. We're not famous.
We're very famous in a very niche
We're
area.
nobodies. But yeah, just to give and the way they do it so graciously and they come on and just tell us all is so. It's brilliant.
We just kind of let them go free.
Yeah,
like
free,
a couple of ponies.
Thank you to Tom Stewart.
Yes.
For helping us out for a period of time.
Yep.
That was always great.
You're part of the family now.
And also Chris, who
he's not
back
part
in the
of the
early
family.
days did a couple of episodes and then legged it. But you will still see him helping out the festival if you're ever in the clock tower or whatever it will be called down the line. Obviously, Mike and Pete.
Obviously.
Thank you once again, even though I've already thanked me.
They're like the brothers I never had.
You've got a brother.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
We don't talk about him.
He's in the cage. Thank you again, guys, for continuously supporting us as an equal part.
Yes. Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
Yeah.
This is a foursome.
It's a foursome. No, we're definitely the bosses still, okay?
Well, Pete does always pod boss. He calls always pod boss.
I love that.
It's like, all right, Pete.
We need that on a badge.
Briefly, a big quick thanks to Pop Noir for letting us use your music from whenever he started using it.
Yeah.
I'm very thankful for that. Obviously, a huge thanks to the Lex International Comic Art Festival team.
Wow. That's the voice.
Thank you. Who put on a great show, and obviously certain members help us with guests to come on the show and so forth. So thank you very much to them. Thank you, obviously, to Festival Director Julie Tate.
Yes.
For allowing us
to
steal their branding.
Yes.
Essentially.
Basically what we're doing.
And to piggyback on the festival. It's very kind of you. But no, thank you. And thank you for support. And slightly more importantly, John Freeman, just because
Lovely John.
He is the backbone
to
link us to the festival.
He is our tendril, our tentacle.
He helps all the sort of the artwork we got. It's John that's done it. He obviously promotes the podcast on his own site.
He does,
as well as a festival
award-winning site.
Award-winning site.
Thank
award-winning person.
Yeah.
And he's such a lovely guy. He's always there.
He is
helping
lovely.
us along. So thank you very much to you as well, John.
Mm-hmm. Thank you very much.
So yeah, And thank you to me.
Oh, sorry. Thank you to Ian.
Thank you.
For being the person who edits everything.
Yeah.
Thank you for me for being the talent. I just rock up, record my bit, and I go, you're editing, go and play a bit of Skyrim.
Yeah, which is what's going to happen in a minute.
It is.
And I suppose finally, thank you to all listeners.
Yeah, all three of them.
All three of them. Thank you, all three.
Chanel, top fan.
Chanel, Tony.
Chanel and Tony are top fans. Definitely Chanel. She's lovely.
But no, thank you to all listeners. It means the world. And whenever people come up and say, "Oh, listen to you," I love.
I know. I get really embarrassed. It's like, oh, someone listens. Oh no.
So we will have an episode out before Christmas. We're recording it next week. In fact,
are we? Oh, we are.
We are. So there'll be a pre-Christmas episode.
Yes.
Which we'll do some fun with.
Oh God. Okay.
I've got an idea.
Oh,
just
no.
come in my head then. So
thank you with his ideas.
Thank you for listening for the past 100 episodes, and here's to the next 100 or whatever.
Or whatever.
Here's everyone. Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for listening. Find out more about the festival at comicartfestival.com. Find out more about the show and how to contact us at comicartpodcast.uk. Find us on Twitter, Facebook and Instagram. Music composed by Pop Noir.